Hi everyone and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter and this is Connor.
Hey guys.
We're going to talk about Better Call Saul, Season 2, Episode 5. The episode is simply titled Rebecca. Full spoilers, as always. Well, ding, ding.
That hiccup was almost appropriate there. It's a nice substitute for a bell, isn't it?
You know what, I had a lot of really interesting stuff to talk about anyway.
And then this showed up, yeah.
And then that last scene happened and it was like, oh god, And people gave us shit last week because we didn't recognise people from Breaking Bad. Well, that's not
We're not
happening
making
this
that
week.
mistake this time.
No.
Do you know what's annoying?
I
When something
remember
this
him.
big happens, it means we're going to forget to talk about something else. It's
Yeah.
going to happen now.
Yeah, no, I know. But our old friend, Salamanca.
Mm.
And did you notice there was a little dinging in the clock?
I did.
As it came in?
I did.
Yeah. And you know, I heard it and I didn't realise it was obvious because when he was first walking in, I didn't necessarily think that it was going to be anyone important. But when he sat down and the camera was behind him, I was like, wait a minute, they're hiding this.
No, I knew it was someone important as he was walking in because even though it was there, like Mike was there, but Mike was off to the side. He was in the centre of the shot.
No. Like, yeah, it was framed to introduce someone walking in.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have blurred him out. He was so out of focus and you couldn't tell who he was. That's what gave
don't
it
get me
away.
wrong.
To me.
Yes, it was. It was intentional. But I'm just saying that that's not necessarily. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you frame it so that you have the person, you know.
You do, but I thought just the fact that you couldn't tell who it was enough to tell me that.
Yeah, but point is, by the time it actually, just before it showed them, I'm like, wait a minute, who the fuck is this?
Mm.
They're being very, and then it turned, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. This makes perfect sense. I don't know why it never occurred to me that he might show up.
It's such a logical connection now that he showed up. Of course he would.
Yeah, because we had Tuco and everyone else, and I guess it makes sense to get more of that family. Joe wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if we see. I forgot his name. The main crime boss who has the chicken place.
Gus.
Gus, yeah. It
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me if we see Gus at some point.
Well, no, me either. And the reason for that is Mike works for Gus, not for Saul.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And Saul kind of just borrowed him essentially because he knew him from before.
Yeah, because he knew him. Yeah, and he
Yeah.
does favors for him. That's it. Yeah, so that which means Mike probably ends up meeting him through him.
I can see that being like
maybe?
season 3.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that's where Mike's ultimately heading.
Yeah, to work for Gus.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. See, I tell you what though, I see the first 4 seasons of Breaking Bad. I binge watched them before season 5 started,
Me too.
and I think you don't remember things as well when you binge watch them.
No, you don't. Because stuff blurs together.
Yeah, because I feel like had I watched Breaking Bad weekly from the start, I would have seen the whole thing at least twice or 3 times by now
Yeah.
because I'd have rewatched it.
It was only 5B that I binge watched it up for.
Yeah, and oh, you lucky bastard! Do you know what it was like? I won't spoil
That
it.
years. Oh no, I know
Yeah.
that point for a year.
Yeah,
Fuck me.
that cliffhanger and then a year break was fucking excruciating.
I only had a couple of weeks. I was like, Jesus Christ! I feel bad for anyone who waited a year for this.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, that's him entered the fray, and we didn't see a whole lot making this episode. We got that one scene with him on the phone and Saul noticed his bruised face, and
Yeah.
but they kept Mike sort of because there was a lot of Mike last week. Last week was fairly Mike focused.
Yeah.
This week, on the other hand, was a lot more Kim focused. And this might be the first time she's actually had this much focus.
As far as I can remember, yeah.
We've had scenes with her when like Saul's not there or not directly. They've always related to Saul, but this is definitely the first time where
It's her problems.
she's had her own arc. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
had her own story in an episode. And it was good. I think it's great that they're. I think it makes sense that they started with Mike and Saul because they're our window or door into
Yeah.
this show. But it makes sense to me that now Kim and Chuck are becoming more full-fledged characters where they can carry,
I feel like they're building that way with Hamlin as well.
Yeah, maybe. Because see that opening scene, because the opening scene is a flashback to when Chuck's wife Rebecca they were together still, and she was meeting Jimmy. I don't know if it was for the first time, but it was at least if she had met him before, it wasn't in
No, I
depth.
think it was for the first time because he was like, "Oh, violinist." And,
Yeah. But it was like the first time they'd really sat down and spoke at the very least, and it was very interesting. But the point I was making before I actually talk about what was in the scene is just that wasn't Saul's scene, that was Chuck's scene. That was to learn about Chuck.
Yeah.
So both Chuck and Kim are getting their dues now, and it's really nice to see them flesh out the rest of the cast. But yeah, as for that scene, so we'll tackle his scene before we talk about all the Kim stuff.
Yeah.
But although it relates to a scene with Saul later on in the episode,
it does
thematically, and that's the scene where Saul's in the bathroom with the Bill. I think the lawyer's name was
fucking Bill.
Fucking Bill. I had a lecture in uni that was called Bill that everyone hated as well.
It's not about that name.
I don't know. Fucking Tarantino characters want to kill a Bill, and like everyone wants to kill a Bill. It's just that's just the way it is. But so to flash forward to that scene later on with Saul in the bathroom, and the guy, like he's like, "Oh, you lucky bastard! You got a nice job with this car and all that," and he walks out, and like Saul just looks depressed, standing there in that bathroom. He's not happy. This is not who he is, right? And this really is what the first scene's about as well, because it's all about how Chuck's jealous of Saul because Saul gets to have fun, and it's really interesting because even the way they filmed that opening scene, they drain so much colour out of it to make his life look as dull and miserable as possible.
There was even something else that I'm not entirely sure it's just jealousy. I think it's
not just jealousy, but
no, but there's like another major thing where he can't stand the idea of people not seeing Jimmy the same way he does.
Yeah, that's an extension of the jealousy because it's like it pains him that everyone likes him so much.
Yeah, but I don't think it's because he wants to be liked, though. I think it's just that he doesn't understand why people like him when he honestly believes.
No, he doesn't understand, but he tries at the end to tell the joke.
Yeah, that's true.
And it doesn't go down, which is why I'm saying there's a bit of jealousy in there, because he's trying to do it. He wants to have that reaction. He wants to make her laugh like he did earlier on, and he can't.
Yeah.
And that kills him, because he looks down on his brother. He sees him as being a lesser person.
Yeah.
But there's something that he has in terms of talking to people that Chuck just doesn't have. So maybe it's not so much that he's jealous of his life, or he's just jealous of the fact that he can talk to people.
Yeah.
That way, you know.
Yeah, we saw it even last week when he was talking to about how Jimmy talks with the old people.
Yeah.
And he had his reaction then in the boardroom, and he's just not happy about it.
Yeah, and this gets us sort of cutting a bit more deeper to the brunt of the problem, and so I thought that opening scene was very effective. Have they mentioned what happened to Rebecca exactly? No. They haven't. I don't remember anything. So
I'm pretty certain they haven't.
I'm fairly certain. Then we're going to get another flashback at some point, possibly many. So that's cool. So sticking with Chuck, it's weird because they all sort of interlink. So I feel I feel like I'm skipping ahead in Kim's story by talking about this, but I'm sticking with Chuck just now. So, well, first of all, I like that when Hamlin goes to see Chuck and Chuck's like to shout at the doghouse.
Yeah,
and he's like, "We'll see." Like he's still pissed, but like Chuck's like, he's like, you know, I guess that means she's good now, and he's like, no, we'll see. But no, the scene between him and Kim towards the end of the episode was very enlightening.
It really was.
Because I don't think he told. Obviously the details of what happened to his dad are new, but I don't think he told us anything about Saul's character that we weren't already talking about for the last few weeks, or necessarily the entire show. Almost. At one point, he even said the same phrase that you said a few weeks ago.
Did he? What did I say?
You said we were talking about him swapping the light switch that he wasn't meant to switch in his new office. You said he can't help himself, and that's an exact line that Chuck says in this episode. And I thought it was a really interesting and dark story because You know, he was stealing from his dad.
Do you know what the thing is, though? I'm not sure how much of this is true. I think it's a version of the truth, and it's the version that Chuck believes to be true.
That's his point of view, yeah.
But I'm not sure how much of it is actual fact.
Yeah, I have to admit, but see, before he actually specifically said that Saul was stealing from him, I actually was thinking, what was their dad a thief as well? And that was where Saul learnt this from.
That's what I thought. And I wouldn't be surprised if that still is the case, because I don't know. I just feel like he's so determined to see the bad in Saul that he's convinced himself that that's what must have happened, even if that's not the case.
Well, it's something we keep talking about with Chuck's character. It's not... Because even in this scene, he's like, my brother's not a bad person, he's got a good heart, but he just can't help himself. You know, that was the line.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about this before, how Chuck, it's like, he loves his brother, but he just... You know, it goes back to that chimpanzee with a machine gun analogy, why he doesn't want him to be a lawyer. It's like he just thinks he's destined to fail. And the way he speaks about him in that scene is like everything he says is like, oh, he's let me down, you know, multiple times before. Now he's let down Hamlin, and he's like painting this like awful picture of Saul, and I think it's actually kind of amazing how much depth Saul has now. Because it's not that he wasn't interested in Breaking Bad, but he
There's
didn't have
nothing
this.
like it.
Yeah,
I can't wait to rewatch Breaking Bad after I've seen all of this show and how he'll view differently.
Yeah. That'll be very interesting. Again, that's in... I mean, all the scenes with Chuck tend to be really moody because of the fact that there's no lights. But both that and the opening scene were really well shot. In fact, actually, one thing I really liked about the start of the opening scene is it starts with him changing a light bulb, and you know it's a flashback. Like, it's a really...
See, it took me about 3 seconds. I was like, wait, is he better? Is he, like, forcing himself to be better? It just took me a few seconds to... And I was like, oh, no, hang on. This is before.
Well, not accounting for certain people's stupidity.
Yeah, that's fair.
I thought it was instantly clear that this is a flashback, and it didn't have to give us a caption saying X number of years ago.
Oh, it definitely didn't need... even the very latest, even if you, like me, assumed that he was trying to force himself to, you know, like, adjust to it by having some basic lights. As soon as it turns around and Rebecca's there, that's it. It's flashback.
Yeah. But like I said, I don't even think you even need to get to that point. I think that action in and of itself tells you this is a different time.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if whatever happens to Rebecca is what causes this fake illness that he's got.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past it. What I'm interested in is, did Jimmy cause it? Does that add to Chuck's hatred?
And if he didn't, does Chuck think he did?
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving
Does he
parts
find
in
a way
this.
to blame him regardless? Because I feel like Chuck finds a way to blame Saul for every problem in his life, regardless of whether or not it was actually him.
He's his scapegoat.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I love how much this show gives us to talk about in terms of the characters, and it's really, really well written.
It is.
A lot of depth. Back to Kim.
Yep.
And Kim's trying her damnedest. I really liked her scene with Jimmy actually at the start when she's like, "You don't save me, I save me." Like she's like determined that she's going to get her way out of this. And we see how she does it. There's some great montages of her phoning all those numbers, trying to find like a new
Client.
client. Yeah, I was going to say account, but that's more of a
Yeah. It's more of a
banker thing.
client, isn't it?
Yeah, more of a client. It's because they meet bankers later. That's where I'm getting the.
That's
banker
probably
thing.
what it is. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because even at one point I was thinking, oh, they just got a new account. Wait a minute, it's not an account.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the lawyers. They're not. That doesn't matter. But I thought that was really well done. It was a lot of really nice shots. The stuff with her with the rain behind her in the parking lot.
Do you know what? I loved that shot for the. It had the sign not quite above her, just off to the side, but it was like pointing out, and it's like she's so close to being out of the law firm, but she's not quite there. She's just managing to stay in.
Yeah, and I actually was really surprised. I thought the whole point of that little subplot was that she was just going to not find anything. So when she actually did get the call back and then went down and like screamed of happiness, I was like, oh, that's really nice. Yeah, I felt really good about it. And then I also seen the crushing blow coming from
Of
Hamlin.
course. Yeah. It was too neat.
Yeah, it's like as soon as she started mentioning what she'll start doing to work on this case, I just knew what he was going to say. He's like, no, you've got plenty of things to do.
Yeah.
And she's left standing out there, and it's like it's ice cold. Ice cold.
You can just feel how she's literally just been gutted. It's just
And it's all Saul's fault.
it is. What a dick.
But then, I mean, he's responsible for this, so maybe he is responsible for the thing with the dad.
Maybe that's the thing. I don't know anymore.
And you know, maybe Chuck and Kim will connect over the fact that they're both people who get ruined by Saul.
That's it. I loved that moment where Chuck was like, "Oh, coffee," and she's like, "No, I'm good." He's like, "No, I meant get me a damn coffee."
Dear. Yeah, Saul was in this.
He was.
Briefly. I actually thought it was a few minutes. I mean, we mentioned the scene in the bathroom, but I thought it was a nice subplot of him being chaperoned by this.
Oh, what an annoying little bitch.
I didn't think she was that bad, really.
Oh, I did. You come in at like whatever time it was at night, and you're like, "Oh, let's go over this." It's like, no, I want to fucking go home.
Well, don't get me wrong, yes, I'd have a problem with that if that was me, but I don't think her in and of herself was annoying.
See, I do. I really do.
I don't know, she seemed friendly enough, I don't know.
Yeah, but she was too friendly.
Yeah, but not when he snuck back in the next day, and he was trying to like make up an excuse for like ditching her the night before, and she's like, "Are we going to do this?"
Yeah.
A little bit of respect on her for her. She's not putting up with his bullshit.
Yeah, but I felt she was pushing herself into she didn't have the right, like he says, I'm a fourth year, you're a second year. What right have you got here? Fuck off.
It's not high school.
Doesn't matter. Seniority, it matters.
Because it's funny though, because him trying to like bribe the person at the counter with the little bear.
The bear, yeah.
I was like, okay, like technically yes. Technically you could argue that this is bribery, but at the same time,
it's only for a date. It's not like it's a big deal.
It's a fuzzy little bear.
That was probably cost about $6.
If that.
Yeah. I don't know, it had the tag on it, those things. Those ones are a pretty brand. I recognise the tag.
Welcome to Teddy Bear Cast. I think that was everything.
Yeah, I just want to say, Saul's cup as he was walking in the next morning, the coffee cup, I loved it because it was a perfect representation of the logo. It was the bright yellow, and it said like world's second best lawyer, and the second was in the same font and that red as in the Saul logo. It was a small thing, but I really liked it.
So yeah, great episode of Better Call Saul. That's us halfway through season 2.
Oh God, already.
I wonder where we'll end up by the end of the season. But that's episode 5, season 2 of Better Call Saul.